Okay, the line is going across the screen, which means that I am apparently live. No unity with George W. Bush. I make no apologies about it. I want no goodwill whatsoever with George W. Bush. I'm Bernie Bro, and I shall explain. Yeah, just recently on the news, former President George W. Bush called for unity during this pandemic crisis, and he actually called for an end of pandemic partisanship. Comforting words, so comforting that he conned a lot of liberals into trying to rehabilitate the man who is arguably the worst president this country's ever had. I don't go with this. What's the phrase? Uh, Absence grows the heart warmer, something along those lines. Um, I don't fall for that. George W. Bush was the worst president we ever had. And it's just a damn shame that we started the 21st century with this jerk, this dummy. Um, Starting in 2000 with the cheating of the election in Florida and all the problems that he caused. And you got liberals today, they're wanting to go and sing kumbaya with this man. Another reason I don't want to support Joe Biden and prefer to support the Green Party instead is back in back in October 10th, 2018, almost 2 years ago, at the National Constitution Center, Joe Biden presented a Medal of Honor, draping it over George W. Bush's neck for the Constitution. A man who actually took the Constitution and wiped his ass and flushed the toilet with it. That's basically what George W. Bush did during. I mean, and I'm not a 9/11 truther, and I'm not even going to say that the World Trade Center came down and is all George W. Bush's fault. But what is George W. Bush's fault is how he reacted and responded to the terrorist attacks. And first, with the USA Patriot Act, um, that basically grant the U.S. government the right to spy on me, you, and everybody else, to the point where we are a hyper garrison state today, where phone calls are monitored, your your privacy, what you do on the internet is monitored. Um, we're become an extremely surveillance state. I mean, that's basically what we are. I mean, all the privacy rights that we have are guaranteed to have in our U.S. Constitution is pretty much gone. I'm not going to say that prior to 9/11 that we were a civil libertarian style society. We were far from that, but we are in worse shape and creeping toward Big Brother because of Bush's actions. Invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, the biggest blunder in American foreign policy history. And let me tell you what's resulted with the invasion of Iraq in particular. What happened was you took a secular dictatorship, and yes, Saddam Hussein was a piece of shit, but it was a secular dictatorship that kept the radical crazies, clerics in line. You didn't have Muslim fundamentalists running the country. It was a secular society that granted religious freedoms to Christians. Women were not dressed up as a ghost from head to toe in burqas. They didn't have Sharia law in Iraq. Women's treatment was on par with the West as far as equality is concerned. I mean, and so when the United States went in and invaded Iraq, I mean, all that's gone. I mean, all that is gone, and who are they cozying up with? Iran. Oh, the country that the neocons want to invade. How stupid people are to trust a neocon politician. But that's what happened. We had thousands of American soldiers died. 500,000 innocent Iraqis died. We are tens of trillions of dollars in debt because of this war. And going in there and invading a secular country and getting rid of the secular government created a vacuum where the what would they call the ISIS group, the Islamic State came into being as a force out there. That's all because of the George W. Bush presidency, the Bush Cheney doctrine. Oh, not only that, we went and tortured. Um, I'm not going to say that people were wonderful that were sent to Guantanamo Bay, but waterboarding is an act of evil. It makes us no better than the radical crazies halfway across the globe. But, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, John Bolton, you name it. I mean, they all were okay with torture. And you had the TV evangelists on TV who, on one hand, acting like gay marriage is going to destroy this country. On the other hand, they're getting an erection, seeing, knowing that people are getting waterboarded down in Guantanamo Bay. So I mean, worst president we ever had. Wall Street deregulation, which led to the 2007 economic collapse, and even the one thing that could have been a positive for George W. Bush, he fucked it up just to please the corporatists, and that's the prescription drug reform in 2003 that created these thresholds and what they call donut holes where certain people can get covered, and then if you hit this level, you have to pay out of your pocket, and it actually kind of continued the status quo of not allowing the U.S. federal government to negotiate for lower drug prices, just to appease the big pharma. So George W. Bush is a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. Oh, and there's more. This is personal. This is personal. VA funding reform. My father, who was a U.S. naval lieutenant back in the 1960s, cannot get VA benefits because as a teacher and as a professor, he made too much money. We're not supposed to have a healthcare system that deprives people. We're supposed to expand it to 100% of the population. And my dad is a veteran. How dare, how dare the Bush administration slap my father in the face? As a veteran, I thought we were supposed to care about our veterans. That's what I've always figured. And let's not ever forget the quote by George W. Bush. A dictator would be a heck of a lot easier. There's no question about it. I don't want to ever hear Republican partisans accuse Democrats and liberals and leftists of being for tyranny when you had a president that kind of jokingly, and he wished he had more power to do the shit that he did. And he's going to, a dictatorship. He pretty much said that he would like to see himself as a dictator. Imagine if Barack Obama would have made a comment even remotely similar to that. Imagine, and I don't like Obama. Imagine if Hillary Clinton would have made a similar statement. And I don't like Hillary Clinton either. But I guess when Republicans are for dictatorships, other Republicans would be like, well, that's okay. But, but I just I'm just absolutely beside myself. And now liberals are talking about, oh, George W. Bush, he's calling for unity. He's showing leadership. They have rehabilitated this man. There's nothing you can rehabilitate him with. He's murdered more people as the president from 2001 to 2009, even more people than the current piece of shit in office right now, Donald Trump. I mean, how the hell can somebody who's supposed to be progressive go around and rehabilitate? Ellen DeGeneres, what was it, about a year and a half ago? Hobnobbing around with George W. Bush. Ellen, you're a lesbian. George W. Bush thought you were subhuman, that you were not supposed to have any rights. How the hell can you sit around and hobnob with a man that thinks that you are fundamentally flawed for being attracted to the same gender? This is just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I, for one, do not ever intend to want to look at George W. Bush in a positive light. He was the worst president we've ever had. You know, when George W. Bush left office, I said, prior to Obama getting elected, I said, between McCain and Obama, no matter who wins, the fact that neither of these gentlemen were born as George W. Bush, anything will be an improvement from here on. But George W. Bush laid the foundations for somebody who provided us false hope, Barack Obama. And the false hope led to fear mongering, which ended up with Donald Trump. And this is why we're in the messes we're in. And I trace it right back to George W. Bush. And I will hear from some folks. Oh, well, he, talking about. I mean, the all the sycophants in the right wing media. They love Donald Trump, Rush Limbaugh, and Sean Hannity. And look, Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity will love anything in the White House that has an R beside their name. So don't give me that. Just because Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, they were the biggest sycophants for defending George W. Bush during his presidency. And I remember people saying he was a uniter and not a divider. And then if anybody just gave a tepid opposition to George W. Bush, the right wing Fox News talk radio people getting their high horse. Well, they just hate George W. Bush. And you're kind of like, well, you're not exactly showing a lot of love for yourselves for the liberals. We don't have to love you liberals. We hate you too, but you better not hate us. You better not be against us, but we'll be against you. That was the mentality I pretty much had to look at for 8 years. Thank heavens George W. Bush is no longer president. That man needs to be put on trial for crimes against humanity. He and all the other people in the Bush administration that play the foreign policy role of what happened. I mean, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney should be behind bars. That is my piece. And I am Bernie Bro. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to comment. Tell your friends. Give a thumbs up. And you're a Republican, you want to give me a thumbs down, you can too. But I'm Bernie Bro, and I am through venting for the moment. Peace.